Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Android Central Podcast. It's episode number 87 for Thursday, February 9th, 2012. Welcome back. We're doing another one. I'm Phil Nickinson. I'm your host for this little show and the little website we like to call AndroidCentral.com. If it's your first time joining us, welcome. Glad to have you. Thanks for being here. So we do this live most every Thursday night. Occasionally we change it up a little bit. And we do it in recorded form later, so if you're not listening live, hi, how's it going? If you are here live and you're in the chat room, say hey. How's the chat room tonight? Fine, good, fine. I'm actually kidding because it takes them a second to catch up. There we go. Hey. Two hays. It's kind of lame. Full hay, chilling. Awesome Phil, sup, hey, we are good. So the chat room is good. The chat room is prepared. And it's a good thing, too, because we got a buttload of news and we got some good people to take care of it. So from the site, we have Jerry Hildenbrand.
Howdy, everybody. What's going on?
A lot. I just said a lot's going on.
I didn't ask you. I know what's going on with you.
From the Android Central forums, we have Corey Streeter back after a long hiatus. I believe he was hiking in the Andes, weren't you?
I'm about to.
Yeah.
I think he was dead, wasn't he? That's what we
I
were
just
reading. Late Corey Streeter.
It's been forever.
When you're about to go on vacation or something, you're going to like Antarctica or some, was it Italian cruise ship? Or you might have to cancel that, actually.
Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
And from jolly old England, we have Alex Doby.
Good evening, everyone.
That's all four of us. Good night. No, I guess we got to talk some news, huh? This week has flown by, and I'll be honest, I haven't gotten to walk but one day this week. I walked on Monday, briefly, I think. Maybe it was Sunday, I don't remember. Because the news is, I'm trying to do this Mobile Nations fitness thing, and I know, Jerry, you are too. No?
16
Okay.
ounces at a time, baby.
But the news has just been crazy, and I swore I wasn't going to let it happen. But it's just, oh. When was Chrome? Was Chrome just yesterday? When did that happen? We don't have Chrome on Android, by the way.
Day before.
That was the day before, yeah.
Man. All right, well, let's talk Chrome. You guys want to talk Chrome? Unless there's anything else you want to talk about going on in the world. Syria is a mess. The election's still going on. Anything? No? Android? All right, we'll talk Android.
I think Chrome beats all of those things, quite frankly.
Chrome on Android, better than Syria in turmoil. So, yeah, we got Chrome on Android, and it kind of rocks, actually. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Technically, it's still in beta. Do we know why it's in beta? Is it one of those Google like, yeah, well, yeah.
It's a Google beta. It's a very impressive beta, I'll give it that, for a first release. A lot that's very, very stable, and I don't know about you guys, I haven't come across any obvious bugs just yet.
Only thing I think I found is I was sending a website to Jerry, and I think before, in the stock browser, it lists like the title of the website in the subject line, maybe, and I don't think it did it here. But yeah, I mean, if that's the worst thing,
oh yeah, stop the train. We can't have that.
I didn't say anything out loud about that because whatever. Yeah, I mean, the rendering is impressive. The speed is pretty impressive. I put up a very unscientific kind of comparison between Chrome and Safari on the iPhone 4S, and I mean, looking at like SunSpider was better. They both hit 100 NAS at 3, but scrolling and panning and zooming was still a little bit better on the iPhone. That's not surprising, but Chrome on the Galaxy Nexus anyway. I mean, it's nothing to sniff at. It was good. I've also got it on the Acer A200 that I put Ice Cream Sandwich on. There's a leak in the forums, and runs. It looks even better on that. It looks just like the desktop version. It's a little crazy, actually.
Wow, look at that screen difference.
Oh, I know.
It's a very side note, but I've never seen it like that.
It's crazy. The iPhone is so... And I still actually really enjoy the feel of the iPhone. I mean, it feels nice in the hand, but damn, it's small.
Yeah.
It's so tiny. And I tell you what else, the Chrome on the browser itself, not the Chrome on Chrome, but the Chrome on Safari, just the menu buttons and the title bar up top and all that, I mean, it just feels odd. Maybe it's because the rest of the display is so small, but I mean, just Android, you get so much more real estate to work with, and that's nice. But yeah, Safari is still a little smoother. Nothing I'm really going to complain about, but seeing them side by side, you can tell.
So the only bit of lag that I really noticed in Chrome was to do with typing URLs. And I was wondering if that's anything that you guys have noticed. Because it seems like you get more functionality in the, I don't know what they call it, the Omni bar at the top. But at the same time, it's a little slower when you're doing normal typing, at least on the stock ICS keyboard.
I wonder
Is
if it's
it searching as you type?
Yes.
Yeah, just typing anything in the address bar.
I'm trying right now. No, it's what keyboard are you using? Because I've had weird things with some apps and some keyboards, and
Yeah, I'm just on stock these days. I'm waiting on Swipe for ICS.
oh, are you? I see.
I am, yeah.
No, he's a little bit right. There is sort of a tiny bit of a lag there that's noticeable.
Everybody using it full time? Anybody jump in all the way? Yeah.
Yep. See no reason not to. I guess maybe you guys can explain this to me, but I was kind of wondering why isn't this just part of ICS?
I kind of had the same question because you look at this and you look at the stock ICS browser, and there's a lot of duplicated functionality in there that's not just copied over, but done in kind of a different way. So you've got to wonder, do they have different teams working on this? Is it a case of they couldn't get Chrome finished in time for ICS, so they couldn't put Chromium in the open source thing as well? So what's going on with that?
We're all looking at Jerry.
Well,
maybe it'll get baked into another version of ICS.
You can't put Chrome into stock Android. You can make it like they do Gmail or the other Google closed source apps, but the minute you put Chrome in the stock Android tree, it's no longer open source. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or and we say Chromium. Well, the Android browser is very close to Chromium to start with. They use the same rendering engine, a lot of the same ideas with the code. So maybe that's the way we're moving, but right now it's just anybody's guess.
I think they will. Jerry and I were talking about this. I think it's totally going to get folded in, right? If this isn't the default Android browser in a year, I'd be really surprised. I think they still need to work some bugs out, probably. There's probably some compatibility issues, and just want to make sure that everything works the way it should before you start baking in the ROMs, before you figure out the open source portion of it and how that works. And I know I've read a lot of good posts, actually, where people are worried about this, right? It's going to be one more closed app from Google on an open source product, especially something like this. I think the browser should probably be open source whenever possible, right? There's just too many applications that need a browser. It's not like Gmail. It's not like Google Wallet or something where there's serious proprietary issues. But I really think they're going to take care of it, not worrying about it.
Well, Alex makes a good point too. There's probably there's obviously two different divisions within the company that's working on this. I mean, it's so different from the stock. I mean, to me. So,
what do you guys think about the tab syncing? Is that cool? Is it worthless?
I think it's kind of like Chrome to phone in that it'll be useful in a few isolated instances. It's a good feature to have in a bullet list, I guess. But it's cool. It's nice to have it there. I don't think many people are going to be using it on a daily basis, but I guess technically it's very impressive.
I think it's worth mentioning that Mozilla did that a long time ago. It never quite worked as well as I think they wanted it to, and for me it was always kind of laggy, really laggy. But I love the idea of it, and actually I've been using it because I'm not sure what's going on, but for some reason it's tougher for me to get to AC than it should be. But I'm not. I go to my bookmarks and it's like, all right, it should be right here, but it's not. Well, part of it's because I have just folder upon folder in my bookmarks. I have desktop bookmarks, other bookmarks, mobile bookmarks, and so I've got to drill through all that before I get to AC. So what I do is I just go to the sync tabs, and I probably have 5 different AC tabs open at any given time, so I can just hop in straight from there. So it's quicker. Oh, look, I can't actually watch the podcast live though because it doesn't have any flash. There's no flash in Chrome.
That is fine by me. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. Within probably 9 months or so, we'll have. I would imagine we'd have Jelly Bean, and the stock browser in there is not going to have flash.
So, I may be in the minority here, but I I've never used Flash. All it does is slow my phone down because it's used so widely for ads. And if I want to watch a YouTube video, I open it up in the YouTube application. So what else is left?
It's so variable from platform to platform as well. Like with the various phones I've been testing over the past year, I've noticed on OMAP devices, Flash is really, really ropey, whereas on Snapdragons and Exynos devices, it's actually quite stable. And I think a lot of the reason that Flash is no longer getting maintained on the mobile side is just because it's too much work to get it stable across all these different platforms.
Hang on, I'm intrigued by your use of adjective. It's ropey?
Ropey, yeah, as in, I don't know, kind of crap.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so gonna start using ropey. That is my new word for the month. Ropey. Jerry, that last post was really ropey, man. I don't know. Gotta have an accent, I think. I don't know. Some people started complaining in the comments because I said something about how websites or whoever need to start phasing out Flash, and maybe I should have qualified that a little bit because Flash is dying on mobile. Flash is not dying on the desktop. It's not dying on the web in general. But Adobe is phasing out Flash for mobile. They're not really making anymore. I think they're gonna do bug fixes when they have to. But as far as phones and tablets goes, it's time to get off it. Sorry, it's just the way it is.
Then we need an internet that doesn't need it before we do away with it.
Yeah, because, and on the desktop side, the desktop Chrome still ships with its own integrated version of Flash. So there's a bit of a conflict there.
And that just made me think of something. If you go back and watch the test I did between Android and the iPhone, you'll see up in the top left corner, I think, a little Flash symbol that said, hey, you don't have Flash, you need Flash or something like that. And I wonder what that is, Renee. If you're listening, I'm not even sure what that is. If that's some tracker or something we have that's Flash based, I don't know.
That would be an ad.
Well, no, because the banner ad was up there.
Oh,
I'm not sure what it was. I have no idea. I don't necessarily deal in all that stuff. But so things like that, and things we have to worry about. So it's going to be a weird transition. It's going to be a tough transition, but eventually, I think Adobe's doing the right thing. I think Adobe is looking forward. It's such an odd company, Adobe. If you've ever met them, like all just awesome people. Every time I meet with Adobe, I love it. And even when they're banging a Flash drum and singing from the rooftops, when the rest of the world's just like, guys, Flash, no, done. And you know what? I hate the word pivot, but damned if Adobe's not pivoting on this, right? I mean, they said we're not going to, support Flash on mobile anymore. We're going to focus on Air for apps, for cross-platform apps, and that's the way it's going to be. So, good for them. Maybe it's different because I know people there. I don't know.
I think that's going to turn into, we'll continue to support Flash 11 for all new mobile devices. I really think so.
Maybe I think at the very least you're going to have. Go on, I'll let Jerry finish.
If you can't buy a phone next year that runs Flash, that's a lot of the internet that you're not going to be able to see on your mobile device, and nobody's going to be happy about that.
Well, the consensus in the chat room is that you needed to watch porn.
Yeah, and
I needed to look at my bank.
Well, no, hang on, because Jerry and I were talking about this, and I said, Jerry, does your bank not have a native app?
Yep.
What was Jerry's response?
Well, yeah, it has a native app, but
Jerry says, but I use both.
Do it from my browser, like
Why?
I do at home.
Write a letter.
I'll just switch banks. I'm a stubborn old coot.
If I need to use Flash, I'm usually at a computer. I can just open it up there.
I mean, I will say Flash crashes Chrome on the desktop more than anything else ever. I don't think it ever crashes. I don't think Chrome on the desktop ever crashes where I don't see, Shockwave Flash is ended, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's what I've noticed as well.
And it's kind of apples and oranges, but it's still like, okay, enough. It's, I just want this to work.
Get 16 gigs of RAM.
I have
that
8.
Fixed it for me.
Did it?
I don't know.
I think you can only have 8. You want to talk about the other big news that just kind of came in the last day or so, and that is Google Wallet. No, nobody wants to talk about Google Wallet.
I think we're all thinking a lot of things we just can't say.
I want to know why.
Let's start with the first one. We got two stories. I want Jerry to talk about the first one more because he understands a little better. But the first story is, if you are rooted and running Google Wallet, you have problems because the PIN code can be brute force cracked.
Right.
Somebody wrote an app that will guess 10,000 combinations. And watching the video, Jerry, it looked like it did it really quickly.
Oh yeah, well I downloaded it and it does. It should. It's only. I hate to use the word only and 10,000 in the same sentence, but there's more than enough power in your phone to instantly run 10,000 numbers. And, worst case scenario is 10,000. The best case, it may guess it in the first 50. So it's going to feel like it's instant. But the issue with the first one that came up yesterday is if you root your phone, other applications have access to data that they shouldn't have access to, or they can. They don't inherently. Right. And shoot, everybody should know when you root your phone, it's not as secure. Plain and simple. I'm not real worried about what came up yesterday. Today's is a little bit different, but yesterday, I mean, that's understandable.
Right. And I know some people are going to get upset when Google says don't root, when Google says don't use Google Wallet if you're rooted. But remember what rooting is, and I'm going to oversimplify it, but rooting is insecure. You are making your phone insecure, period. You are opening it up to access to everything. Now you have, and I guess theoretically something would ping a super user app, right?
If you have it installed, and you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a question. What percentage of rooted devices wouldn't have super user installed?
Hopefully 0, but I don't know. Little man inside my head says it's probably more than you think, Jerry.
That's usually always true too, but just saying.
But yesterday, I mean, that doesn't concern me. Number one, and this is not going to be very popular. If you root your phone, security is now on you.
Right.
Don't look to Google for help. Don't look to your carrier. Don't look to the manufacturer. It's all on you now. So don't lose your phone. Lock your phone. Do whatever you need. You have root. You can do whatever the heck you want with it. Delete your freaking file with your pen before you leave the house and come back home and push it back. You can do it if you want. Today's is a little bit different.
It's not the only thing either, right? I mean, passwords, email passwords are still being stored in clear text. And if you root your phone, you can see those passwords in a database. So, I mean, it's not the only thing that's a security risk. To me, open platform and my wallet are not, you said 10,000, whatever it was, words. And to me, I don't want my bank account information being that integrated in my phone when it's so easy to get that information.
But it's a whole lot easier for me to steal your wallet and just sign my name and use your card for 2 days before you find out.
You're right. It absolutely
is.
I don't know. I've been paying for things for 20 years without this technology. It just doesn't, I don't really get it. Like
somebody asked this question on, I forget if it was Google Plus or Twitter earlier today, and I forget who, so I apologize. But why do we demand greater security for something like this on our phone than we do our wallet?
I think because they trumpet it as having better security is a big part of that.
And it should, right? I mean, you certainly have the opportunity for it.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick straw poll among the four of us. Who's using a passcode or slide unlock, not slide unlock, but the pattern code or anything on their phone? Anybody?
Well, I use a pin.
Nope.
I do not like unlocking my phone every time I have to read a text message or something. I like turning it on and just having it there. So I take the risk.
Me too. Chat room?
Yeah, I used to, just because the phone I had that I was using before, the Galaxy Nexus, used to like to unlock itself in my pocket, so I used to have to set a passcode just so it wouldn't do that. But no, so out of any security concern, that's not a big deal for me. I'm just using the old-fashioned slide to unlock.
No, steal Alex's phone, steal Phil's phone.
So we did
good luck,
the other
good luck ripping it out of my hands. That's what you'd have to do first.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing, is if somebody has your phone, you're already screwed in several ways.
Yeah.
We did a poll the other night out of 7,425 votes. 30% say they just use slide to unlock, and if I were Jerry, I wouldn't have actually done that as a choice, because another 25% said they don't use lock screen security. So that's essentially the same thing. So that's half the people aren't using anything. 25% use the pattern, 11% use the PIN, 2% use a password, 3.7% use the face unlock, and I think most of them are probably lying because it's still crappy.
Yeah.
What are some of the things, Jerry? You had another solution option there. What are some of the other things people can use?
Well, I meant on my other, I meant like an exchange policy, some sort of external app that replaces the lock screen. There's a couple different ways you could, what are they? Widget Locker, I think, replaces the lock screen. There's a couple apps. I can see the icon, but they're security apps. They force you to enter, a passcode of some sort before you can unlock your phone. But mostly what I had in mind was Exchange, a forced security solution.
We should all do something. I'm trying to talk myself into it. I finally so here's another thing you should do, and I think everybody agreed on this, is put some sort of location tracking on your phone. Yep. Not necessarily antivirus. We talked about this last week with Paul O'Brien, and I think that was a really good discussion. So I'm using one that's also antivirus and or malware or whatever. I'm less concerned about that, and decided I really want something on there that can A, find my phone, I guess, but B, remote wipe. I've decided I need remote wipe, and it's as much as I travel, it's far beyond time that I start using that. Jerry and I were talking about encryption. I don't think I want to go quite so far as to encrypt backups of this thing, but yeah, there's certainly lots of options out there.
I'd imagine they'd have this feature built into Gmail at some point. I mean, Exchange has been doing it for years and works really well. I mean, you just log into your Exchange account, click on mobile devices, and as soon as that thing connects to the network, it wipes the whole thing. So I'm sure it's pretty close to being integrated into Gmail as well.
Exchange and BlackBerry, and so that was the question Jerry and I were talking about this afternoon, and I think I posted on Google Plus, is do you think people would be willing to put up with that sort of draconian policy?
No.
That's kind of foreign to Android at this point, right?
I think a nice balance between the two might be the kind of the two-step authentication that's already in Google accounts. To the point where if you have something that's authenticating, use an app-specific password for your phone. If your phone's lost or stolen, just deactivate that password, and at least it's not going to be able to get any new information from Google. You're not necessarily going to be able to wipe it or anything like that, but there's an added bit of security in there to stop it being able to do anything like buy new stuff.
Well, and having that functionality, so all that stuff is controlled through policy. So I don't have to put in a PIN every time I unlock my screen. I still have remote wipe. It's kind of like Lookout, right?
Right.
So being able to remote wipe from just my webmail, and I could see them adding that functionality pretty soon.
So back when I was at the paper and used Windows Mobile, we used Exchange there, and my job was like half newspapering and then a quarter IT. I got sucked into, so I got to hang out with the IT guys and learn a little bit about the Exchange, and I could go back there and reset my policy. Well, not my policy, but I could go back and reset my password if I wanted to, and not deal with all those requirements. But the one thing I would always do when I'd reflash a ROM on Windows Mobile was hop into the registry and kill that damn policy, because I didn't want to have a stupid lock screen every time. I mean, Android being as hacky as it is, I mean, that's going to be a problem, right? People would be able to do that, and they would, and they probably can.
Sure, but then, the onus is on them.
Well, they're going to have to do this. I mean, in order for corporations and businesses to adopt this, and IT security people to be comfortable giving, this technology to their employees, they're going to have some sort of, functionality where they can go in and control the devices. And right now they're doing that, primarily through Exchange and, I guess there's some built-in security that allows administrators to control the device as well. But I think that's one of the things is like, well, companies are still giving their employees BlackBerries because they have that level of control. iPhones to a certain extent as well. So
it's really an incredible thing when you stop and see it and look at it. I remember when they were starting to edge toward Windows 7, maybe in some of the server stuff. It's really incredible stuff that you can do, and it's what has made BlackBerry so powerful too. I would love to see Android do that in the enterprise space, but nobody wants to talk about enterprise. We're not going to talk about enterprise. Corey can talk about enterprise all day long. It's not sexy.
It's a big market, though.
It's a huge market. Corey is sexy. Yeah. Enterprise is not sexy. No, it's a huge freaking market. Are you kidding? The whole CTIA show in the fall is called Apps and Enterprise, and you get all these enterprise-related PR pitches, and you're just like, no. I understand it's important, and it's important to you. It's important to business, but I can't sell it to readers. Sorry.
And there are certain manufacturers that are taking it more seriously than others, like Motorola.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Motorola's doing a big deal with it. Samsung is. At the MWC event last year, they talked a whole lot about that sort of thing. The new, all the new Motorola phones have a lot of stuff. Speaking of new Motorola phones, woo.
And at the Galaxy Note event last year, there was a big presentation by a lot of enterprise security people, which Citrix just went completely over. Yeah, that went completely over my head, but I'm sure is very important to enterprise.
I don't understand any of it either. It's pretty rough. Did we talk about the second one now?
No, we need to talk about the second one first.
That was just the first. So the second Google Wallet hack, and it's really not a hack. It's just kind of taking advantage of the way it works now. So Jerry and I have been going back and forth on this all afternoon. If you haven't seen this video that goes along with it, watch it. We'll have links in the show notes. But basically what happens is you have a Google Wallet account, and if you go into the settings and clear out the app data, there's a little button that says, delete app data or whatever. And what that is you have an application, and the application does all the little work. And then it has, if you're not watching this right now, it's awesome because my hands are doing little talky things. You have an application that does all the little work. And then you have a little folder where it stores, data that it does things. It stores, passwords or I don't know what else, Jerry, images, whatever it stores.
Yeah, well, yeah, all the data the application creates.
Right. So when you delete that app data, you basically, for most apps, it starts completely from scratch, right? If you delete app data from a Twitter client, you have to put all your Twitter passwords back in and all that stuff. So fire up Google Wallet again, and you have to give it a brand new PIN. And it says, hey, you need to give us a new PIN. Okay, cool. So you put in a new PIN, and then it says, all right, well, here's your Google account. Which one do you want to use? And you hit which one you want to use. And it says, oh, hey, look, here's your Google prepaid card that goes with this account and this phone. So there you go, you got it. So theoretically, if somebody steals your phone and goes into the settings and wipes the app data and then logs back into Google Wallet, they will have access to your Google prepaid card.
Yep.
Oh, no! Look, I'm not saying it's not something that needs to be improved upon, but I'm not losing any sleep over it either, because at that point, somebody has my phone, and I'm already screwed again, which is why I now have remote wipe.
Why don't they reorder that process so the data's gone, so prompt you for your Gmail password, and then do the? Why can't that be switched around a little bit?
That's a very easy fix for it. All you need is your Gmail password or an app-specific password for Google Wallet the first time you sign in.
They'll fix it. I'm not worried about it at all. It's funny that this is not a new thing. I mean, I don't want to call this a feature. I called it. I think in the post that Jerry and I wrote together, it's got his name on it, but I think I rewrote half of it. Sorry, dude. Bad editor. But I think I called it a byproduct of just the way it works, right? And yeah, I mean, they can fix it. They can do better, and I think they will. But it's funny that this came out, 24 hours later. Somebody's like, "Oh, by the way," and to me, it seems a little bit like piling on, especially if it's something that's not new. Now, the big question is what happens with your Citi credit card app, or not app, but your Citi credit card that's on there. No, as far as we can tell, whoever has stolen your phone won't have access to that. Correct.
Right.
And that, to me, that's a bigger deal. I mean, at least prepaid, you're talking a finite amount of money, and not something that can mess with your credit, which is a much bigger deal. On the other hand, they can go and buy stuff through the Android market all they want.
Yep.
So,
Amazon, if you're using the Amazon App Store, you had to sign up for one-click purchasing, so they can go right to the market, download the Amazon app, and start buying.
Oh, that app is dangerous. That app is like crack.
Are you up at midnight every night waiting for the new app?
My wife will be talking about something, and she'll be like, "Oh, I might kind of want this," and I'm just like, "Do done. You got it. Who's the best husband in the world?
Yeah.
Me."
One click is the best thing ever.
No,
One click.
it's so dangerous.
But I think the biggest thing everybody needs to take away from this, if nothing else, whatever you have tied up in Google Wallet is just icing on the cake if some dude gets your phone.
Right.
He's going to have access to all your contacts, possibly your banking apps, all sorts of other stuff. Like we said, the market, the Amazon market, that $10, $15, or if you're a dummy like me and put $50 on that prepaid card, yeah, he's going to get that too, but that's minor compared to everything else he's going to get. So don't lose your phone. Lock your damn phone. Stop being lazy, Corey, Phil, Alex, and
I got
put
a
a
remote
pin
wife.
on your damn phone.
I'm not getting Google. I don't know why I would take money out of one account that I have money in, put it into another account that I mean, what's the point?
So
Just
you
pull out
can
my
go
debit
to the
card and pay for
7-Eleven
things.
and buy a pack of cigarettes by swiping your phone across the machine and look at the dude while he thinks you're some sort of...
Or the card. I mean, it doesn't make sense to shift money out of one account and put it on a prepaid card
right.
where I'm not even
You're
making
right.
interest on the money.
It doesn't, and I really don't use Google Wallet. I played with it a little bit. If they ever open it up and take the credit cards that I use, I probably will use it. I'll be honest with you. But still, lock your phone, people.
If that guy at the grocery store takes Google Wallet, he should be taking Visa and MasterCard as well. Mm-hmm. Or American Express. Or cash, like somebody in the chat room said.
I was so about.
Well, and that's Google
I was
Wallet.
about to put a pin on my phone, and then I realized I was just going to take it right back off after the show. I don't want to be that guy. So
Think of that prepaid card as cash. If you lose your phone, that money on your prepaid card is gone if somebody finds it.
Yeah.
Just like the cash you lose if you lose your wallet. So don't go putting hundreds of dollars on it.
it's finite, and that's the way it should be. I want to use it in a cab because cabs are a pain because I can get to my phone quicker and easier, and I can get to my wallet.
Oh.
So I'm going to New York in a couple weeks. I'm going to try it there. Finally. I wonder if we'll do euros. Probably not. Don't think so. So that's Google Wallet. People are making a big deal. It needs to be fixed. It'll be improved. I'm not all that worried about it.
Right.
It'll
Well,
be okay.
Google needs to know we want to use it. They need to make it right.
Right. And they will.
Yep.
What's next? You want to talk about this Droid 4? So I got the Droid 4 here. And actually, can I get the lights turning on? Yes, I think. I like this keyboard. Keyboard's pretty sweet. So it looks and feels, well, it doesn't feel a lot like the Razer, and I don't have the Razer. Do I have it here? No, it's in the other room. So it kind of looks and feels a lot like the Razer. I tell you what's really weird looking at them side by side is the different hue of the screen. Especially, like with Samsung phones, we've seen them like change the color of them somehow with an update. So the Droid 4 is decidedly blue, whereas the Razer is yellow, and the yellow looks horrible next to the blue.
I have two Galaxy Nexuses sitting here, and there's the same difference between the two. I think.
Really?
I've been going through this with phones for years. You can have the same two, and they're just adjusted. I don't know what the difference is, but there's blue, there's pink, and there's yellow. I like the blue ones.
The keyboard is excellent. So I know a lot of business type people want physical keyboards, and this is the best keyboard on a Droid yet. They finally got it right. Finally. The keys are raised ever so slightly in the middle. They are laser cut, whatever the hell that means. Maybe a laser cut them, I suppose. That would make sense. There's just enough space in between them. They're so well backlit. Just the entire edge of the key is lighted up, so it's not just shining through from below like Samsung's did. So you really get good definition between the keys. Really, really like this a lot and the way it feels. And just, it's nice. It's nice. People are going to like this.
Touch Pro 2 type keyboard?
No, not quite that same feeling. So the Touch Pro 2, if you don't remember, and I don't think I have it, I think it's in the other room too. Touch Pro 2 had like a flat, slab, whatever, and then the keys raise up from it. Mm-hmm. This is kind of different. You don't get the feeling that the keys are resting on something below. It's not quite
nice.
like a chiclet keyboard a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. Blackman X is asking, how does it compare to the Merge keyboard? I actually almost like this better, I tell you. Because you get the definition of where each key is without having, without feeling the base that they're sitting on. I don't know. Now I want to go buy a Merge again. But the Merge is a lot like the Touch Pro 2 keyboard, so that makes sense.
So here's my question: do you think
Yes.
you could go back to having a physical keyboard full time?
I could, but I wouldn't. I mean, the very first Android phone I used was the Droid, and actually that was coming off a Touch Pro 2. I've used the Epic, for a good amount of time. No, every time I've had a physical keyboard, I end up not using it. If you have to have it, this is the phone to have. I don't think there's a better one out there at this point with a better keyboard. It's got all of Motorola's improvements, and I've been singing their praises for a while. I think Motorola's done some really, really good stuff, actually. Pentile, again, I assume, because I can see a little bit of the checkerboarding that we complain about. Not as pronounced as what's on the Macs. And I said in the review, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. I can't decide if I just gave if I gave the original Razer a pass on the display, and I might have. I'll be perfectly honest about that. Or if it's bothering me now a lot more because I'm using 720p phones. I've used the Spectrum. I got the Galaxy Nexus that I use all day, and so maybe it just stands out that much more. I don't know. It's not quite as bad on the Droid 4 as it is on the Razer Max. So I like this. It's good.
You're full-time Galaxy Nexus now?
Oh yeah, I've been since November.
Yeah, you put the Droid X away finally, huh?
Yes, I haven't used the X in a year, dude. I had the Thunderbolt.
I thought you always used that.
No. I've had the Thunderbolt. So I've got a company Verizon line, and we had the Thunderbolt on it since March. And here's, I got the Thunderbolt here. Actually, I had the Thunderbolt at CES. I used the Thunderbolt, and I used the Galaxy Nexus. And I tell you, I was able to keep the Galaxy Nexus charged enough to where it wasn't a problem. Only had to use the little battery pack thing I had once or twice, but for the most part, it charges so quickly, which is awesome. So I don't think it was ever really a problem. That and, I was lame. I didn't go to a whole bunch of parties, and we'd just go back to the hotel and crash. So, but I do have the extra battery now, like Alex does. Did you guys see that red battery back that I finally got?
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, what kind of insanity is that?
Yeah, I'm not putting it on right now because it doesn't fit the extended battery, but this is what it looks like. It looked better in theory, but once you get it on here, it's kind of crap. In fact, we'll give it away tonight. It's horrible. We're going to give it away tonight. If you want to win this, all you guys in the chat room listening live.
Makes me cringe.
We'll do that here in a minute.
Is that some kind of insane Samsung thing, or is that just some third-party?
It's ordered on eBay from Korea.
So okay,
probably not even legal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet somebody at Samsung is waiting at my door to pick it up. So that's Google Wallet. That's the Droid 4. We'll have a review up shortly. Oh, what do you guys think? Sorry, I didn't even mention the battery cover.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I could see if it was necessary.
I'm looking around to see if I have anything to open it up with. I might not. So it's got... You can't remove the battery, but you can remove the battery door. And underneath the battery door What's this? Underneath the battery door is the SIM card. It's got a micro SIM, so it doesn't have a full-size SIM or mini SIM or whatever the normal size is. And it's got the micro SD card. And it looks like it has the prongs for one of those inductive charging backs, so that's cool. But you can't actually remove the battery.
Now you say it's got a SIM card. Tell everybody, are you talking LTE SIM, World Phone SIM?
Yeah, no, it's got an LTE SIM card. So it's got this tiny little hole, and I'm looking around. I don't think I have anything sharp enough to get in. No, I'm not even going to try that. So, yeah. Blackman X says you can remove the battery, may not be advised, but it will come out. Yeah. Anything with a blowtorch.
Lord, did you just take a razor knife to that phone?
Well, just the back of it.
Now we know why your Thunderbolt looks.
Yeah, right.
Try to put it in the hole, and actually.
Oh, no. God, don't do that with me looking.
What?
I gotta take this battery cover off. Give me a chisel.
Don't do what?
Hairline, like anything drives me nuts.
It's not on the display.
No! Oh, it's like chalk or nails on a chalkboard.
So yeah, I mean, you'd stick a paper clip in there. It's a lot like the iPhone SIM unlock tool, right? It's a friggin' paper clip. So that's how you get it off, and it's not horrible. It's fairly easy to do. It's just the principle of the matter. It's like, really?
It doesn't look necessary.
Yeah, it's weird. Why do you need to get the cover off the battery?
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out why they did it. Now, I mean, it's a weird little thing. Like, you push it down, and then the cover just slides off. If you haven't, go watch the quick little video I did today. And yeah, that's the question. Like, why? Why can't they just snap it on like normal?
Could it be originally they decided to have a removable battery, changed at the last minute to have a high capacity in there, and then just sort of, screw it, we'll just have a removable battery.
But it's not a huge battery. It's like 1,800 milliamp hours, 1,830 or something. It's not, it's a little bit bigger, but not grossly so. I don't have anything. I don't have a paper clip here.
That's a bizarre design decision. I'm trying to figure out the guy sitting around in a room planning that one out.
Yeah. I wish I had something, and I don't. I mean, it's just really odd, and it's the way it is. So.
I just want to know if you jam a paper clip in there, does that stuck CD come out the front?
Yeah.
It doesn't pop off like I wish it would. It doesn't come shooting out at you. Anyway, the Droid 4 will be available by the time most people listen to this. $200 on contract. Yeah, if you need a keyboard, it's the way to go. If you don't need a keyboard, the Max is the way to go on Verizon right now. The two best, period. Anything else? Droid 4? No? Let's talk HTC and Ice Cream Sandwich, because they had a little bit of news today. So they renamed some phones that we know are getting Ice Cream Sandwich anyway, and they told us when. The HTC Sensation, Sensation 4G, Sensation XE, and Sensation XL. Really, HTC, seriously. I mean, Verizon doesn't even name phones. Sprint doesn't name phones like that. In fact, Dan Hesse in the earnings call yesterday was making fun of the Samsung Galaxy S2 Sprint Epic 4G Touch.
To be fair, three of those phones are the same phone, more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
And one phone is a Windows phone that they've turned into an Android phone just in case they couldn't sell enough Windows phones.
Which one was that?
That was the XL, which is just a Titan with Android.
I didn't. Oh, that. Yeah. No, I've used that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I don't even remember what these are. I've used the Sensation. What's the 4G?
The 4G is just the Sensation with HSPA Plus. It's the T-Mobile version, isn't it?
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Oh, okay. Well, so you and I were talking this afternoon. You thought those were all the European versions?
Yeah, and then I read the second paragraph and I wasn't so
sure.
Okay.
I
don't know.
Put the carrier name in front of it and call it a day.
Like, I know. Yeah. It's insane. So anyway, those are coming in March, or by the they said by the end of March, so it could be any time now. And then I forget which is which, but they gave another batch of names, and a couple of these we already knew. But the HTC Resound, the Vivid, the Amaze 4G, Evo 3D, Evo Design 4G, Incredible S, Desire S, and Desire HD.
So the Desire HD is pretty interesting because that's by the time it gets the update, it's going to be coming on 2 years old, and it launched with Froyo back in the end of 2010.
And if they can squeeze it on the Desire HD, there's going to be a lot of people on U.S. carriers that are going to be bugging the heck out of them for
Yeah,
Ice Cream
so
Sandwich.
the Inspire's not on the list. That's just a Desire HD.
Yep.
So's the Thunderbolt fundamentally. Yeah.
The MyTouch 4G. There's a lot of phones built on that chassis.
The Rhyme? Well, not the chassis, but the internals. The Rhyme's
I know
pretty much the same
we've
as
talked
Desire
about
HD.
this before.
Yep.
But I still think it's preposterous that the Thunderbolt isn't getting Ice Cream Sandwich. The phone hasn't even been out a year.
Not surprising at all. That is the bastard stepchild of Verizon
Yep.
at this point. It really is. It had promise, but I think, when HTC said in their earnings call that we did some big, thick phones that we're not proud of, basically, that's what they were talking about. It sucks. It sucks. I've got one here. I've used it for the better part of the year. And, I mean, compared to, the Galaxy Nexus and what's coming out, it's not up to par for HTC. And I'm willing to bet, behind closed doors, we could find somebody to tell us that. And in fact, I've told them that. I've told them how disappointed I was in that.
And that they almost, I mean, they didn't name the phone, but they admitted their LTE stuff wasn't, battery life was a concern. It was too thick. And this was in a public, well, not necessarily public, but a conference call with their earnings this week.
Yeah. I mean, disappointing. Look, I'm expecting some pretty good stuff from HTC and MWC. Just with the amount of, we've got a meeting, we've got a breakfast, our meeting, we've got a press conference, we've got breakfast. And HTC, usually does a lot of stuff at MWC, and it's where we got the original Desire and Legend, and then the sequels last year. I really think they're gonna come back with something this year. If you haven't seen the post, NVIDIA, is doing obviously quad-core phones, and a couple of us have noticed that they used what looked like an Incredible S in the picture. I don't know if that's coincidence. I don't know if it's tough to tell, like, when that sort of thing is done by an advertising agency. If some kid is just told to grab a phone, they don't think anything of it. I don't know, but it was a BGR Pocket Now, I forget who, had the render that leaked way back in November of a quad-core, supposedly with Tegra 3. So,
yeah, and we've heard more about that since then. Supposedly it's going to have 3D and all this other nonsense as well. The question, I think, for MWC is whether they announced that phone then and there. Because historically, at least last year, they didn't. They had all their mid-range stuff at MWC and then separate events for all the high-end devices.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see. It's coming. I think I'm fairly certain. I want to say yes. I'm going to go on the record and say yes. I think they're going to come out not with just the mid-range stuff. I think we're going to see some really good high-end stuff from HTC at MWC. And I have no insider information on that at all. I have no idea. That's just me totally guessing. But I think from what they've had for the past year, I think they understand that people are probably a little just, yeah. All right, what's next? The term's like, Phil totally has insider information. I really don't. Sorry. If I had insider information, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying now. When I shut up is when you need to worry. So no, I think we're going to see good things from HTC. The Samsung thing, I still don't know. I think
Samsung's going to be there. They'll have something.
Yeah, they're totally going to be there.
Not going to have a press conference.
Yeah, and they've said, look, we're going to have devices. We're not going to have a press conference. And I mean, on one hand, yeah, that's a big deal. They've always done big press conferences. The venue where they did the press conference last year, who's doing it there?
Sony, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sony. It's like a big auditorium.
And that's kind of surprising in itself, because Sony, that we know, doesn't have any high-end stuff coming out. All we've heard through leaks, and Sony Ericsson is a very leaky company, is that it's going to be mid-range stuff. It's going to be all the stuff that's dual-core, that's maybe 4 to 4.3 inches. So It's going to be interesting. If they've got a big venue booked, what are they going to show?
The Vita 4G.
Well, and who's to say like how much of the venue they're using? Like, Samsung there was big, had a huge auditorium for the presentation, and then big area for drinks and hands-ons. LG we're still waiting to hear back from. Oh, what do you guys think of that weird LG phone that they teased the other night? So it came out like on their Korean blog, and it's a 5-inch phone with a 4:3 aspect ratio.
I have to stick with my gut thought. Looks like an ugly little baby iPad that'll run Froyo for the rest of its life.
Oh,
Ooh, yeah. I would say I don't have the most confidence in LG software to be able to have that kind of device and do as good a job as Samsung's done with a Note.
what was the Pantech phone that came out at CTIA? I forget the name of it.
The Burst?
No, that's the one you just did that came out at CES. I totally forget the name, but it had a weird shape like that too. It was short and squat, kind of like me. No, chat room. That is not the name. not even saying that out loud. Come on. But it was interesting. They tried something different.
Oh yeah, that was the one that was
Yes.
just a big square, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yes, the
More or less,
Pantech Pocket.
yeah.
So I mean, it could happen. I guess we'll see. I'm not sure anybody bought that one on AT&T, but it's out there. Maybe you could somewhere. So we got that. Any other weird rumors?
I think the one rumor that's been well and truly debunked this week was that stupid render we saw sometime last week of that thing that was supposedly going to be unveiled at MWC that was an obvious fake.
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
On that Eldar.
Yeah, I mean, the one that was, supposedly an updated Galaxy S2 that if they were going to unveil that, surely it would have been at a press conference.
Supposedly it was the Galaxy S3, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that they're not going to have a press conference. Here's my thing on that render. It looked like, if it's real, I got a feeling it was kind of an old render. And we see that a lot. We've actually seen, like the HTC Ville that, leaked out. We talked about this last week. It looks different in that video than what we saw in the leaked render. Whoever, whatever rendering house does all these renders, A, obviously has a huge leak problem, and I'm surprised nobody's been taken out back and shot. And and B, you just have no clue when this stuff was made and how old it is, and actually, who's leaking it? I don't know. Whether it's the company, whether it's somebody inside. So I mean, it could be disinformation. I would not put that past one of these manufacturers to send out just a bad render. A as a canary trap to try to catch whoever's leaking, and B just to mess with us. I could absolutely see that happening. So stranger things, but yeah, that one was bad. What about the rumor that Tony Hawk's running around with a super secret T-Mobile Galaxy Nexus? You guys hear that one today?
I got one right here.
Hey, you know what? Mine does T-Mobile too.
Yep, magic.
Yeah.
If you bothered to click through his little picture, you could see where he talked about roaming internationally for 3 weeks. So it's not a super secret. And I don't even know what that means. All it means is it has radio frequencies that work on T-Mobile, and you bought it subsidized, which is exactly like this, subsidized with, minus a couple radio freaks. So that's no. What was the other one today? There's something else I was railing at today. I forget what.
Oh God.
Was it that Google Music thing that was supposedly?
No, because actually we need to talk about that. That's going to happen, I think. So the Wall Street Journal said Google's going to have its home entertainment system at some point. Was that the one where they said in the coming weeks or months? There was some.
They said this year for that one.
Yeah. They're testing something because they have to apply for the FCC for some Wi-Fi stuff.
Sure.
Well,
actually, everybody's favorite poet, Panda Poet, and I told him I was going to mention this, was forming verses over the past couple of weeks about something to do with Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Direct, and that's the thing that essentially it will let your phone talk to your laptop, say, over Wi-Fi without having a router as a go-between, which is friggin' awesome, right? So I can see all this Android at home stuff, and this is something they showed us as a proof of concept back at I/O last May. I can see that going into all this, and it's going to be beautiful if it works, and if they get manufacturers on board. I think it can be tough for people to remember that what they showed us a year ago, 8 months ago, whatever, was proof of concept. It was very, very early. So you've got to get manufacturers on board, and somebody else, I think Electronista had a story today where basically that kind of fell apart for a while, and retail is a mess. It's tough. It's not easy.
I think, though, the big news for today, and who knows if this is going to happen or not, was that the Wall Street Journal's convinced that Google is going to put this out under the Google brand and not go third party with the hardware. To me, that's news.
Is that a good idea or a bad idea? I saw
bad
some
idea, but it's news.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Why do you think it's a bad idea?
Because I guess too many eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Let your Motorola engineers, hey guys, we bought you, we signed your check, but keep making cool stuff. We'll be back in 6 months. And let Motorola put it out.
Well, but I mean, the merger doesn't come into play yet because the merger hasn't happened. I see the Apple pundits trying to give it a hard time and copying Apple. And why is it okay for Apple to do its own thing, but it's even if it copies somebody else?
How are they copying Apple?
I know. Well, AirPlay. AirPlay.
That's
AirPlay.
DNLA, right?
I don't know. Whatever.
And
the technology doesn't matter. I mean, Sonos does this too, and it does it really well.
Yeah.
Right? But it does it through a router. No, I'm excited. I hate to say this time next year, but I think we're going to start seeing some really, really interesting stuff coming. And I have to wonder, especially after Electronesis post today, where they said things fell apart and got pushed back a little bit, and they had trouble with manufacturers. Gotta wonder if maybe that's a reason why I/O got pushed back to June into 3 days. Maybe. Crazy thought.
That'd be cool.
I booked a hotel last night. I'm like, damn, that's 3 days, man. We're gonna see some good stuff. We better see some good stuff.
By the way, my router keeps me up, and I have to put electrical tape over it. I don't need glowing things.
No, mine's the same way. Here, can you see this over here? Because all my crap's in the bedroom because I don't have an office anymore. Oy, it's bad. Router modem. I need a new router. It's not fun. Anything else? I want to duck through a couple emails real quick. We don't have any voicemails this podcast. Because I think we answered one or two, so I just skipped them. Sorry, guys. Timothy writes, "Hey, guys." And Phil. The hell does that mean? Anyway, I just got my Verizon Galaxy Nexus yesterday. Phil recommended in an earlier podcast to go ahead and unlock the bootloader regardless of whether or not we plan to root or flash custom ROMs. My question is, can you unlock the bootloader without rooting at the same time, or does unlocking the bootloader root the phone? The reason I ask is I had trouble with the Netflix app on my rooted Samsung Fascinate. The app wouldn't stream movies because it said I had super user permissions, which of course I did. I don't want to have that trouble on my Nexus, but I may decide to root and flash a ROM at a later time. Thanks for the help, Tim. Unlock the bootloader. Will not mess with anything. Absolutely. My bootloader is unlocked. The rest of the phone is completely stock. I use Netflix. You know what I do that's really cool now? And this is an awesome trick that Jerry came up with, is unlock the bootloader. You can boot into a custom recovery, do an Android backup, restore it at any given time by the same thing. We've got instructions. And it's just awesome.
That's the exact reason why I have mine unlocked as well.
Right.
It's so easy to do that, so useful.
Did he say that Netflix wouldn't allow him to use the app because he had super user?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Google Video won't as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But Netflix does. I mean, I don't have something that's not rooted and play Netflix on everything here. So I wonder if there wasn't something else at play.
Maybe, but I remember at some point in time that was an issue.
Could be, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So much stuff.
If you get a Nexus device, unlock the bootloader before you do anything else. Thank yourself later. There's
it means you can apply leaked OTAs as well.
Yes.
Decide how you feel about this Google Wallet security issue. If your phone has a locked bootloader, there's no way somebody can get to your Google Wallet stuff if you screen lock your lock screen. Password protect your lock screen, I mean.
True.
So that's something to think of first. I would say unlock it, go for it, but think about it.
I'm okay with it. Let me flip through, see if there's anything else going on.
Any breaking news?
I haven't looked. I've been doing a podcast.
Oh.
No, who am I kidding? I've been looking.
I love that picture of the ice cream sandwich, by the way. It makes me so hungry.
Oh, and the HTC one? That was all them.
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
was
awesome.
their picture. So one thing I guess we got to talk about, it's a week old at this point, is the whole CDMA Nexus and how Google is no longer supporting it, only they're not. So here's the deal. Somebody noticed that a bunch of documentation fell off the AOSP or off Google's supporting sites for CDMA devices for the Galaxy Nexus, for the was it the LTE Zoom, for the Nexus S4G, and then I think Droid Life was the first to post it up. And oh my God, are they supporting it? Are they not supporting it? Nobody knows. And you know what? That's a perfect time to not post. But that's not what happened. And so I went out for a walk as part of my Mobile Nations Fitness Month. And I'm like 5 minutes away from getting back, and Jerry's like, dude, where are you? Because, like, it's going down. Just, I'll be right there. And the whole thing just felt weird from the beginning. With stuff like that, it's so easy for things to, like, just fall off websites or to be lost in a rework somehow. So, I mean, from the beginning, it just felt really weird. Turns out all it is, and I think Jerry has explained this to me enough, and I want to see if I can get it right.
Okay.
So, with the Android open source project, when you're compiling a build of Android, you have to sign them with keys, and I say that with air quotes, because I'm all about the hands tonight. You sign them with keys, and on the GSM side, I don't know, Jerry, is it 100% like legit, and Google has the rights to everything all the code is putting out, or most of it, or how does that work?
Well, the CDMA side needs some
Special drivers,
some special applications that are compiled to be not signed with the keys you or I can use.
Okay. And because Google doesn't have the rights to those, correct?
Right.
They can't put them all out together, so you can't actually just build a CDMA version from AOSP. You cannot do it, and nor have you ever been able to do it, correct?
Right. You are so close to being right that we're going to say you've got it, Phil.
So, so all they did was remove that documentation from the website, and that was it. And the poop storm that followed was, I mean, I'm just amazed, and I understand that, and I've gotten stuff wrong before, and I will be the first to say it, but something felt wrong about this, and just, you go from everything's fine to, oh my God, the Verizon Galaxy Nexus is no longer supported, what are we going to do?
And the message just gets so distorted, doesn't it, over time?
It was,
to the point where the meaning of the word support gets changed so much as people read report that's based on report. And suddenly it's not going to get supported with over-the-air updates, which is just complete nonsense.
And somebody, The Verge actually managed to get a quote out of Google, which can be easier said than done, and posted it. And I absolutely would have done the same thing. Mentioned something about Google Wallet, and of course that goes back to the whole Verizon doesn't want Google Wallet, and so it kind of makes sense. At the same time, it doesn't. But damn it, if Google gives you a quote, you run it. I do not blame them one bit. But the rest of this crap, where it's just, is it supported? Is it not supported? If you don't know, you wait. And so, I mean, the problem is now the rest of the world thinks that Google, is no longer supporting CDMA Nexuses, and that's just not the case. So buy one, use it, love it. CDMA, if you haven't read it, Sasha Sagan did a really good post maybe a month or so ago about how, when you're dealing in CDMA, the carrier is always the gatekeeper. And this is why. This is exactly why, because they have some of the proprietary stuff that you need to build these things. And I mean, to be honest, that's a big reason why I went GSM. But, I could have gotten a Verizon Galaxy Nexus, and I didn't. But I wanted something that I'm not going to be beholden to them for. So,
and that aside, it is the best. It's without a doubt the best phone I've ever laid my hands on.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. It's all right.
Of course, I say that about every phone I have.
Yeah, you do. Corey was this close to working for This Is My Next. But Josh had already coined the phrase, I think. So that's the Verizon Galaxy Nexus. Don't worry about it at all. Google is supporting it. Google would not put out a Nexus phone and then not support it. I mean, did that ever make sense?
No, and it only makes sense in the minds of people who read headlines and not the rest of the story.
Right.
Right. Everybody listening, just this is what you need to take out of it. That the Verizon Galaxy Nexus has the same level of support today as it did 3 weeks ago before any of this was ever even thought of. It's exactly the same.
Hasn't changed.
Not
one
a bit.
So that's that. Thank you. That's it, I think. I'm starting to get excited. In WC, what do we got? Are we 2 weeks away?
2 weeks tomorrow.
We're 2 weeks away. Alex is coming. Are you excited?
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Oh, Intel's gonna have stuff going on too. I totally forgot we have to cover them now. Hey, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so much fun. So that's it. Be sure to email us at podcast@androidcentral.com. You can get us all on Twitter at Android Central. I'm at Phil Nickinson. Jerry is at GB Hill. Corey is at C Streeter. Alex is at Alex Doby. We're all on Google+. Go search our names there. Android Central's on there as well, by the way, so be sure to add the site in general. As we are every week, we are brought to you by the Android Central Store. You can get them at store.androidcentral.com. No, you can't. Wow. Somebody needs to update his script, because you know what they are now? Actually, we should talk about this for a second. ShopAndroid.com. They have changed names. So we are brought to you by the Android Central Store, which is now called shopandroid.com. And you can get them at 888-468-6158 if you want to call them. Be sure to follow Shop Android on Twitter if you're not already, because they're doing giveaways each day. We're also promoting them on the site. And just find out all the latest stuff that's getting into the store. So if you really want to see, the new case or new headset or whatever you're waiting on, that's probably the quickest way to find out. Because actually we have RSS all hooked into there and nobody has to touch it, so it's pretty awesome. So shopandroid.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail, 888-468-6158, extension 222. That's it. We're done.